for Unified Power, Community Land Trust, and Real Estate Investment Cooperative.
Daryl Wilson, Chief Deputy, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office.
Michelle Cooper, President of the Neighborhood Association of Jefferson Township.
Abdul Shakur Ahmed. I am with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community Outreach.
Anthony Green, President of Females and Males of Color.
Nayla Montai, I volunteer with NAACP. I'm also administration with Sister Baby Solutions, student at UD, parent leader at DPS for DPS, and that's it.
Jeff Mims, Mayor of the great city of Dayton, Ohio.
Catherine Swain, I am the president and founder of Sister Baby Solutions, where we try to always nurse our communities back to health, one cleanup at a time.
Cameron Absol, Police Chief for Dayton Police Department.
Let's give our panelists a round of applause, all right? So this distinguished panel is going to talk about solutions of violence, solutions of can you say what? Say it again? Denigration of our community at large. And that's really not the word I want to use. That's not the word I want to use. But the destruction of property in the Dayton area. If I want to say it more plainer and more cleaner. But let's just talk about homicides first. In 2021, and I'm just talking about violence, period. And this is just statistics from the city of Dayton alone. We're still waiting for Montgomery County statistics, which would include Jefferson Township, Harrison Township, what is that? Washington Township. So we're still waiting to get those statistics. And then also, they also collect data for Trotwood. So we're still waiting to get that data. But in 2021, there were a total of 32 homicides in 2021. 23 of which were African Americans, 9 of which was white. And as we know, majority of the time, we don't like violence of any type. Whether or not it's white on white, whether or not it's black on black, black on white, or white on black. Everybody, when we think about violence, and we think about Black Lives Matter, that chant is a very powerful chant. But with the NAACP, when we say Black Lives Matter, we want to make sure that Black Lives Matter in all aspects, which also includes violence, direct violence. So we're going to just start over here and just work our way around and just kind of tell us your thoughts, your opinions on how we can resolve this type of violence happening inside of our community. And I'm going to come back with the 2020 stats here in just one moment. So let's start over here.
Well, if you want to talk about some stats, in 2020, the homicide rate grew from 1995, which we had almost 19,000 people die by gun violence. It started curving down and started back up in the year 2020. 2021, we had 19,949 people murdered by guns in America. There's 700,000 individuals in Ohio who have gun permits in this great state of ours. So that means a lot of people got guns. So one of the first things we have to teach people to do is to respect weapons. Because guns bring bad news and sad blues. It starts with our young people. Getting to our young people, developing curriculum that will teach our young people about violence and how it harms not just only their family, but the entire communities. So my approach to it is starting real early with young people, teaching them violence reduction projects and programs, teaching them how to respect one another, how to treat each other with dignity. And once we get to our young people, as they grow older, they can also reach out back to the young people that's coming behind them. So as a result of that, we get more and more people learning how to do this. And I'm gonna close by saying this, because I'm an old man. I'm not like a lot of you young people. We get excited about 32 deaths, and we should. When I was young, matter of fact, when I was in the police department, we had 100 homicides a year in some cases. Had more people in Dayton, but we had a lot of people getting killed. We were able to do something about that by doing some of the things that I just said about talking with our young people, reaching out to our young people. And as a result of that, the homicide rate in this city curtailed tremendously. So when we start talking about 32, I'm applauding. I don't want to see nobody dying, but 32 is a long way from 100. That means that something's been done right in this city, in this community. And the last thing I want to say is that we were involved in an endeavor that we started back in 1993, which was Violence Free America, in which we would go to every homicide site and pray. And what they did was brought attention to the sanctity of life, so that human beings can see that life is precious and that life cannot be brought back. So as a result of that, many ways of dealing with this was done through that prayer. Because I believe in the cases that we were dealing with in 1984, we had an uptick. 1985, we had an uptick. And when we started praying, God answered our prayers. So I think also, which is very important, is we need a divine intervention. So I think we also need to pray.
As an educator of young children, I definitely agree that it starts in the schools, it starts in the homes. In our school programs, we are trying to implement more empathy, teaching those socialization skills, teaching students how to de-stress, how to handle these situations. It's very important that as young children are growing up that they understand these things. In my school district, our students see so much violence. And it's heartbreaking as an educator for these students to come in and discuss how such and such got shot the other day and it doesn't even affect them. That's heartbreaking to me. My son just recently said to me, Mommy, I don't know if I want to give you grandchildren because I don't know if I want to bring them up in this society. That hurts. And I know he's a good kid, raised right, and could be a great father. But where do we begin? Where do we start? And I do believe it's in the schools. It's teaching parents too. Parents that don't have the skills, that don't understand. And that's my take on it.
So, I live down here in the Dayton area, and I think most of the people that live in that area understand that most of the gun violence in our community, it's related to drugs, okay? And that's one thing we don't talk about a lot of the times, man. A lot of the economy in neighborhoods in West Dayton is based on drug sales. A lot of the shootings and the killings are conflicts that people are having behind money related to heroin and fentanyl. It used to be a lot of crack, but it's not as much as it is now. And you know, when I grew up down here, and there was, like you said, there was more people in the city. So I remember those 100-year homicides, right? But there was 100,000 more people in the city, right? But you know, we look at the other part of that is that when we look at communities where you have abandoned houses and all of that kind of stuff, people don't value those neighborhoods, right? So they feel like they can come in my neighborhood and do whatever. It ain't just the violence, it's the prostitution. Across the street from my house, they busted a drug house just last week, and that's par for the course in those communities. And so I think that the name of our group is For Us, By Us, right? And we have to have that attitude when it comes to our neighborhoods. We gotta value our neighborhoods, right? We gotta stop moving out of our neighborhoods, I believe, and start building up our neighborhoods and requiring people to come in our neighborhoods and respect our neighborhoods. Stop speeding up and down my street. Stop prostituting in front of my house. Who told you could sell crack next door to me? And a lot of times, I know that's dangerous, man, to get involved in, trying to overturn some of them type of things, man. But I think if we come together, see, I think that healthy communities are healthy because the people are connected with each other, and they say, y'all not coming down here with that, right? And if y'all come down there with that, we gonna do what we gotta do. And I'm the Black Panther. Traditionally, I might not be viewed as being a friend to the police, right? I ain't gonna tell you if I'm here or not, but the thing is that we pay taxes for certain things, right? And I'm gonna just leave it at that. Use what you pay taxes for, and don't worry about the rest. I was real quick. I went to Montgomery, Alabama last fall, and I was talking to an activist from California. He told me, he said, the crime is so intense in LA that the activist community, they could not get involved in a lot of police criminal issues and do other types of activism, right? So they had to adopt a philosophy of cops and robber business as cops and robber. Because the crime was so overwhelming. That doesn't mean that we don't stop and deal with misconduct. I'm not saying that, right? But what I'm saying and what me and Derek and them is be talking about is we gotta start talking to the people about personal responsibility. That has to be just as much a part of what the Black Panthers do as protesting injustice. Because we ignore that part, right? We ignore that part. We'll get a guy that's selling all the heroin, we'll give him a pass, right? When the police come and smack somebody over the head, then we want to march, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm.
That was it, bro. That was it.
So, I'm an activist at heart. I was an educator for 17 years, and I had an opportunity to experience a lot of children desensitized to death and violence and trauma. And I'm also a person who has a bird's eye view of violence in the community. Originally from Detroit. Most of the men in my family are incarcerated because of criminality, obviously, or accused or alleged. However, I've never been to jail. And I'm 48 years old. I chose a different life. And I think West Dayton is full of people who want to live a different way. But we are going to need, as a community, what I see, what my bird's eye view, is we are going to need strong relationships between the people who are sworn to protect and serve us. The police, the street soldiers, the new Dayton Black Panthers, those organizations should be working together in serious, real ways. And we need transparency from the police department, because I believe that that will allow people to understand what snitching is really about. Because a lot of our people are dealing with mental health issues and familial issues, and we don't have a lot of random crime. Most of it is a family member or a friend, and it doesn't start instantly. It's something that progresses over time. People would feel safer coming to a police force that they could trust. But our police force needs work. You know, for a police officer to come up missing or die, God rest Kevin Brain, if he was white, I think we would know what happened to him. Same way with our two brothers that's sitting down in the courts and haven't been prosecuted because no one will take the case because the officer that went in on them didn't have a warrant, was really going in to rob them. There's a lot of extortion going on with our police officers on this police department. And we need honesty and transparency so that the community can bond together and can work from a place of truth and not a place of hurt and structural violence, because that's what the Bully Lynch letter did to us. When they were trying to figure out how to control black people and dividing us and creating all these different sects, that's what it did. It created division and divisiveness, and that keeps us from being honest and open about our problems and ultimately our solutions.
Dr. Ford, I'm not sure how much this conversation is pretty much going to have a resolution at the end of the day, because as you guys know, it takes more than just this one. However, I would agree with the previous four panelists. Got nothing but respect for Reverend Fox, Dr. Fox. Been knowing that brother for a long time and also think he's a mentor. I just want to put that shout out. And Dominic, what you said exactly is true. I think we as a community need to come together. Being in this business, law enforcement for 33 years, I have seen a revolution of time and also crime itself. And as far as getting people to come up and talk and be witnesses, that is hard to do. People are not speaking up. They're not. And I look at the world as pretty much saying that we need to come together as a community in order to solve our problems. I have family members in the community on the west side of Denver. Moms, cousins, and everybody else. So I'm there quite often. And what I tell them, call the police, step up, join the neighborhood watch, come together as a group to help solve these problems. But I do think that a forum like this, Doctor, is a good idea. We just got to take this further. Thank you.
Okay, so for those of you who do not know me or know just a little bit of the story, my son was the Lyft driver who was murdered on January 26th. So the mother in me wants to see justice at all costs. I don't care what it takes. I'm just being honest. The advocate in me says that we need to teach these children the respect of life, the realness of it. They don't believe that they can die, and they're down in Montgomery County Corner every single day. So I've heard a lot of people say we have to start with the families, with the children. The minister in me says that we have to start bringing God back to all the places we ask him to be. The house, the schools, the political buildings, and in some cases, even the church house. He's a gentleman, so he left. We need to bring him back. That's where we need to start.
I want to start with Assalamu alaikum to all of the panelists and the people that are here. Peace be unto you. My purpose or my desire is that we call on the faith communities. And the prayer I shared earlier was from the prayer of Abraham, peace be upon him. Prayer is what we have to do. Love God, love self, love others. That's where we're at. Do we even talk about it? Haven't heard it. Love God, individually. Love yourself, collectively. And if everybody's loving each other, now we're accountable to God. Do we understand that everything we do, angels record it and hold on to it and report to God? Everything. Everything we say. And we've got to really, really understand, quit talking negativity. If you don't say something negative, say it to God. Ask him to help. Reverend Fox just he hit it on the head. We came together and we prayed. We had a prayer vigil at McKinley Church after a young man had been killed. We prayed all night long. And for me, the experience was, it was the first time after becoming a Muslim, that I had come together and prayed with some Christians. I was born Christian. I prayed. Been praying all my life. And it's the same God. We don't understand. God is God. And he hears and he answers prayers. And if we want peace, ask God for it. He'll give it to us. But we gotta do something. Churches have to do it. Mosques have to do it. Believers should be doing it. Amen. Quit complaining. You know, once we stop complaining and we unite in peace and understanding, Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, tells you exactly what to do. Love God, love yourself, love others, but teach the babies. You want some kids to learn something? Be the example. You want them to be successful? Give them expectation. As a child, I grew up in Middletown, Ohio. We were different because we didn't believe anything could keep us from doing what we needed to do because the expectations were there. We didn't complain about no white folks because we were better. We studied hard. We did what had to be done. They told us you're going to be the best you can be. And we sought for those expectations. So when I came into Dayton, Ohio, to be in a Wright State University, understood, okay, people say, oh no, don't go to Wright State, no, it's a different place. Yeah, okay. So God is saying, be real. And that's what we got to do. So when you go home tonight or before you leave today, greet somebody with peace. In the Holy Quran it says the greeting of peace is a moral and social duty. Greet somebody with peace. In the hippie days, what did everybody say? Peace. Peace. Can we have it? We have to do it. God willing. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm Andrea Shepherd. They call me Andrea the Shepherd Girl. You can look me up. Everybody's on the status. I'm not on the status of anything. You can look it up on Google. Andrea, O-N-D-R-E-L Shepherd. I've been in the community for 39 years. I'm a community activist. These teens that's been tragically killed in Dayton, violence, drug driving, whatever. I've been in the community raising money for the babies. Through my job, I've been a blessing. I give back 50% of what I make. I just retired and I'm not 62. I work for Social Security for those who got questions, but I retired 9/30/21. I lost my mom to COVID, 11/27/2020, and I've lost a lot of people. We just lost AP to violence, trying to be peace, what they say. Okay, I know this fellow's talking about how we can make peace. I'm just gonna break down what the Spirit gave me, what peace be. Practice. Practice make improvement. We'll never be perfect at anything, but we can be better. We can practice. Practice temperament. Practice forgiveness. People want to forgive if somebody say, I'm sorry. You're supposed to make a decision, a conscious decision to forgive. It's for you. If ain't none of us purpose, forgive and let it go. It is what it is. People are who they are. Either you're good or you're bad. You're right or you're wrong. There ain't no in between, but right now everything goes. The truth is the truth. A lie is a lie. That's what P100 is about. We focus on the truth. Truth made known with an entertaining perspective. I focus on the truth. I'm a spiritual assassinator. God's been grooming me for 39 years. I've been in the community. I just graduated with 34 years of federal service time. I'm retired. And then also the lady that got killed, the bus driver RTA hit that lady, Caucasian lady. Evil don't have no color. Black, white, don't matter. Evil is evil. She was going to work, clocking in at 6, 7 o'clock. Bus driver on the phone or whatever hit her. She dead. AP, go see a friend. He dead. Argument. Julian Payne, 17, getting off the school bus, dead, drunk driver, gone. Either you're alive or you're going to be conscious of nothing. What you leave here is what you take there. We all pay for what we do in life. This one or the next. And it is real. That's all I got to say. Thank you. God bless you.
How y'all doing today? As a young man in the community and seeing all the different perspectives and how things are going in this world, peace is one of the things that I think we really need. And what I mean by peace is positive energy always creates elevation. If we can all come together and be positive with each other and communicate, because communication is a big part of it, and not just communicating, but understanding and understanding what each other is saying, it would be a big difference. Because if you can't understand what your neighbor is saying and you take it in a closed-minded direction, we will never reach peace. We will never grow. We will always be stagnant. And the way that I feel like we grow is listening to each other. That's part of the communication, because that's part of love, you know. God is love, and that goes hand in hand with the prayer. Praying for change, being the change that you want to see. And as a young man, seeing how a lot of the older generations look down upon the younger generations as just thugs or gangsters, or we do this but we don't do that. Be the example, because if you want us to do something, you have to lead. And if you're not leading by example, or you leading by example but it's behind closed doors, how would there be a change? You have to come direct. And sometimes you gotta sit a brother down, sit a young sister down, and tell, not always tell, but ask them what's going on in your mind. Like, why do you do the things that you do? Because if you don't understand the root of the problem, how's the problem going to change? And it's not just the younger generations, but I can speak for the younger generations, and we need that. We need to be sat down and talked to and asked, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? What change do you want to see? And we need those advisors and mentors, and the females and males of color, we do that within the DPS school with peer-to-peer mentoring and changing the way that we look at ourselves. We're building ourselves to be greater for each other, because the only way there will be a change is if we can realize that we are reflections of each other, and how you treat the next person is how you really look at yourself. And so if you can't treat yourself with respect, how are you going to treat anybody else with respect? You got to show love. Like I said, positive energy always creates elevation. If you come in the room with negative energy as oh, well, I don't want to hear what they got to say, or oh, what they saying, it ain't about nothing, there will never be a change, because it's perspective. If you can see what they see, you don't always have to be in their shoes to see what they see. Because if you look around, we all see the same thing, but from a different perspective. If you can understand another's perspective, the change is there. It's already there. We just have to bring it out. That's all I got to say.
I believe right now what we're doing is the solution. We're kind of make sure that it's not blinded of what the action that we put together and hearing each other's voices. This is a part of the solution. Hearing each other out. I would have to say that being a parent, being a parent, and as a parent leader, right? I see a lot of talk louder. Okay. Your teacher voice. Yeah, my teacher voice. So being a parent leader with DPS, I do a lot of community service and not trying to speak with my outfit or anything like that. I do notice that the younger generation, we kind of lost the foundation of respecting the matriarch. And for myself, I would have to say that's because we have lost the patience. We've lost the patience. And You know, the whole time sitting here, I was thinking like, what am I going to say? Something profound, and I appreciate just hearing everybody's story. It's just a matter about being real. I appreciate the law enforcement because you guys have a program called PACT, police and clergy together, bringing in those, that's a solution, bringing it into the community. I love the organization, Sister Baby Solutions, cleaning up the mind and mental health and behavior, and having that place within those federal programs, being placed within those schools. And each and every one of you teachers, you know, educators, that's where it has to be part. It has to go back into the foundation, which is home. And having that being applied. If we don't have that, having the mediation center here in Dana is phenomenal. That should be promoted more, and having where the parent and the child and the teacher come together. It's a respect matter. It really is. And I noticed that within myself and the great book that I read, you know, you treat people as you want to be treated. So if you, like the young man said here, if you don't have respect for yourself, how can you respect anybody else? I am at fault with that. There's moments in my life I didn't think I could respect myself in matters. But once I had to look in and understand what, as a human, and reading John Hobbes' Leviathan book, he stated that as humans, we have an obligation here on life, and that is to serve. We lack serving and understanding what serving is. You know, part of that, I just have to say it, this right here, this is starting the solutions committee.
First of all, I'd like to go back to our very first panelist in terms of his comments, Reverend Fox. I think Reverend Fox and I have more gray hair than anyone on this committee. We've been on work for at least 75 years in this community, and I've known him from the time he was a teacher and police officer as well. And then having that same background myself. Here's one of the things that concerns me. As mayor of this city, you know, it's not by accident I think that I'm here. I think it's an issue associated with my background in terms of having been a teacher and coach. I've been a janitor. I've been a director of programs to serve at-risk youth in this community. I was completely instrumental in bringing about peaceful DSEG in the city of Dayton in schools in 1976 during that time frame. And we were one of the most peaceful cities in DSEG across the nation because of the types of things that we did. We have been dealt a very poor deck of cards for those who play spades and those who play big whist. You know what happens if you don't get the right cards. Okay, you can have all the skill in the world, but it just won't work out right for you. Sometimes we get justifiably concerned with the symptoms of the problem and not the problem itself. There's data that put us in this situation that clearly says if you don't create a community where they have a piece of the American dream, you don't create a community where they have good health care, jobs, opportunities of that nature, quality educational opportunities, then you're going to have the violence and the fact of the issues that affect people on a regular basis. If you don't look at data, for example, data was done in 2020 by the Citibank that says that this country loses $16 trillion, not billion, but $1 trillion because of racism. And so this nation is comfortable with losing that amount of money as long as they maintain racism. And that racism is oftentimes also classism. So those who are poor stay poor. And there is data that validates clearly when you and or your community is poor, you begin to do things to survive. Some individuals think selling drugs is the only vehicle for survival. Some individuals think that being violent is the only method of being survival. There are things that we put on our teachers, our preachers, our police officers that we should not put on them. They should be addressed at home. There are things that, unfortunately, because of the crises that we have in our community and in our state, our parents are not as my father, 6'2", 225 pounds with no fat, said clearly, with only 5th grade education, go to school, get involved in everything you want to get involved in, do the best you can in everything you do. Don't be up there messing up the family name, and don't be up there acting a fool. Okay? Now, if every child had that kind of understanding, that kind of support from their parents, it would be a better world. But I also understand, too, by being a former teacher and a coach, that there are a lot of parents who said, I trust you, my child trusts you, you have my authority to do whatever you need to do to increase opportunity for them to be successful. And when we look across the state of Ohio, that 25 plus years, we still have a system of underfunded public education. And the court says it has its most negative effect on urban and rural communities, and yet our state legislature continues to do that. When you cut a local government fund that was used for the city to support recreational opportunities, to increase the things that are happening to benefit our regular everyday people, and no one complains about that here except for those who are in city commission. So when you cut money from our police department, so they can't do they can't do community policing, they can have opportunities to interact with young people in a non-threatening situation. Those are the kind of problems that we need to address. Thank you.
Well said, Mayor.
Come on, Sister Baby, you got that?
Who can follow up behind that and just state facts? Right, totally agree with this brother. I was talking to Brother Dominic and Brother David earlier today, and I grew up in Dayton, right? I'm part of Dayton. I had 3 successful children, right? They did well in life. Life is wonderful for me, right? But I was sharing with my 2 brothers and my sister Kenya that we don't have community anymore, right? We remember when the officers used to walk the street, right? We remember that you knew your next door neighbor, and they would spank your behind. They would spank your behind and then take you home, and you could get another behind spanking. Right now we have media, right? And our children and our grandchildren and our children's children, they're into the media, right? This young man is correct. We always tell them, you listen to us. We're telling you, what to do, how to live life, right? But my thing is with him is that we have to listen to them too, right? We have to respect what they have to say because we all can learn, right? We can learn from anything that is around us, right? So at the end of the day, Sister Baby Solutions is about solutions, right? We're about trying to find commonality, dealing with the psychological issues within our community. We as a Black people are traumatized. It stems all the way back. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about slavery, but you got to read your history, right? You got to understand how traumatized, and it's not just Black people traumatized, right? Because it's white people, they're traumatized from the trauma that the Black people dealt with, right? But we have to understand that once we all realize that we're traumatized, now we have to sit down, have open discussions, respectfully, right, and try to come up with solutions, right? Jeff Stanley's having problems with getting money. Well, hell, some of y'all in here can help me get that money. Let's get busy for this brother, right? Believe in our leadership, believe in each other, respect, and love one another, right? Always, right? Because it's easy for us to talk crazy to each other, but how easy is it for us to just respect one another? So we're about cleaning the minds, dealing with the issues that's in our community, and bringing unification, right, and bonding together as a people, as a whole. And it doesn't matter your color, right? It doesn't matter sex. It just matters about, let's really talk and listen to one another and try to figure this thing out, because the issue is bigger than every one of us that's sitting in this place right now, right? So we just have to figure it out and have more open discussions about it, right? I have nothing against law enforcement. Some of them I think are sexy. But all right, thank you guys.
It's funny, she wasn't looking at me when she said
You didn't have your uniform on.
So I was thinking about all the comments that were made.
tell you that when I look at healthier communities versus non-healthy communities, what I see is economic equity. And it has to be intentional. I think a lot of the stuff that has happened in Dayton is because of economic inequalities. There's a lack of education, opportunity to be educated. As Mayor and I have talked, other commissioners talked, I said, you always have to be looking about 25 years ahead today. Whatever if you're satisfied economically today, you're going to shortfall because something else is going to happen that you don't anticipate. So if you look at the underlying issues in any community with respect to crime, you will see economic inequity. You'll see poverty will be a big issue. So from a macro perspective, you always have to be looking at that and say, okay, today we're focusing now on technology. We have finally gotten away from those old jobs are not coming back. They weren't coming back in the 60s when they left, but they finally kind of came to a position that's not coming back. But now we got to thinking about, all right, so what's next coming up, right? Constantly thinking about it. Where I grew up in law enforcement in Arlington, Virginia, they have in the 1960s decided that they're going to change the complexion of their community from rural community to urban community and take advantage of their advantage, which was being rented to DC. And they haven't stopped. They just got Boeing. Boeing moved from Chicago to Arlington, Virginia because they've been at it all the time. So I know that's a job that the mayor's going to look at. Do that. All of what you've said is 100% correct. One thing I will tell you is that there's no knight of shining armor coming to save you. There is not. It's you. It's me. So we take ownership of ourselves and we control. We're not going to get healthy. So I think it's been said enough. Quit complaining, right? Let's work together. And you are going to see more police officers because you're going to be. By the time I'm done with it, if I have my way, you'll be tired of me knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, I want to make sure that you're okay." Right? We're gonna start doing those things. Now we're having a little bit short staffing issues, but I know we're trying to plan our first walk and talk. Nothing's happened but I want to walk and talk in a community neighborhood, so you get to see the police officer, see the police officer. But that's a very micro perspective. The macro perspective as to why crime occurs is economic inequity and the social contact that you have and what you're taught. Thank you for being here because, talk about a tragedy and losing a loved one. For somebody who was doing the right thing for the family and just being, what happened. Those kids did not learn that on their own. Somebody taught them. We taught them not to value life. Right? And I think we got to look at ourselves, whether you're a police officer, whether a sheriff's office, the city, the community itself, saying, what can we do? I'm responsible, I know, outside of my official role as a human being, a father of two. A father of two kids who just graduated college. I focus just to make sure that they do not commit any harm to somebody else in the process of life. Their racial belief is irrelevant in my faith because that doesn't matter. That's really for this world, just statuses. What you do with the status you're given is more important from the perspective of faith. I follow the same faith that Brother Shakur does as a Muslim, so peace has a very strong meaning for us because every greeting that we have is literally says, peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum, that's all it means. It doesn't mean anything else, it doesn't mean peace be upon you. We reply, wa alaikum salam, peace be upon you too. So that's the essence of who we are as from a faith perspective. And I think faith is a very, very important part of it. I don't care what faith it is. If you believe in that there's a higher power at work, that your life has more meaning than just a meaningless, that you're going to live here for a few years and then be it, I think you're going to be, the sanity of life that you guys talked about, appreciate life because if you follow whatever faith, I don't care what faith it is, no faith teaches you to hate that I know of. No faith teaches you to hate if you look at the faith perspective, right? But from my perspective, I think the conviction is trying to do, I think it's the right thing to do, is really bringing equity, education, has to be top-notch, because if you have the ability to read and write, you're never going to fail in this country.
So each person had an opportunity to share your perspective on peace. And I know that the weather is about to get bad. The storm is coming in. And I know it's going to go to 5 o'clock, but I just want to give give you some numbers, and then I want you to just to give me each person, because we're going to do this again at a different time. Because I want to be respectful of everybody trying to get to their cars and get to their loved ones, things like that due to this weather storm that's coming. But I just want to give you these numbers that I was trying to give you a few minutes ago. So in 2020, there were a total of 47 homicides. And when I say homicide, any homicide is too many for me. I don't care, one homicide, 100 homicides, any homicide is too many from my perspective. Any homicide. So there was, out of those 47, 38 were African American. And this is for the committee that's just us, for us, by us. I want you to internalize these numbers. Just us, for us, by us. Out of those 47, 38 of those 47 were black. 9 were white. So that's 80.85% of those homicides in 2020 was actually African American. Versus 19% of our counterparts. If we look at trends in 2021, the very next year, there were 32 homicides. 23 of those 32 were African American. Versus 9 of our white counterparts. That's 71.87% for us, 28.12% for Caucasians. Then, so far this year, through the first 4 months, there's been a total of 9 homicides through the first 4 months.
12 now.
Through the first 4 months.
12 now. 12 now.
12.
12 now.
Well, I'm looking at the statistics here.
Yeah,
No, this is through the end of April. So this is through the end of April. There were 11. 9 of those 11, African American. 9 of those 11, African American. 2 white. 81.6%. So when I'm talking about Black Lives Matter, when I talk about Black Lives Matter, I'm talking about when NAACP is talking about Black Lives Matter, let's truly mean that our lives matter when it comes to those type of statistics. So a lot of us, many of us have family members who are in the dope game, who do bad things. And we need to talk to them. We need to have a serious conversation with them, because if we want to chant like what you said earlier about us wanting to march and protest, if we want to truly march and protest, let's march and protest about our own lives and us killing one another. Because I'm going to tell you, with the NAACP, it makes our job hard. And here's the truth of the matter. With NAACP, it makes our job hard when we go to fight for each one of you. We're going to fight for you when one white officer a year kills us in our community. I'm not talking about nationwide. I'm talking in our community. But when we're killing one another, we're not saying anything.
It seems like it don't matter.
And what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is it does matter. And our lives matter. All these lives that were lost matters. Her son's life mattered. AP's life, where I came from earlier, mattered. Black lives matter. All lives matter. So this is a continued discussion on a piece of how we can identify, because this is only one part. Because we also want to talk about this drag racing and these donuts in the street, defacing our properties. When we talk just us, for us, by us, let's mean that. Let's own that. Let's see what we can do collectively to ensure that our community is, so we can have economic development. And once again, it makes our job hard. Our economic development committee chairs our job hard when we go downtown and we want to jump on Mary Mills and say, hey, why don't you make Salem Avenue look like Austin Landing? Make 3rd Street look like what's one up north of here? Miller Lane. It makes our job hard. Nobody's going to invest if we're just constantly destroying our own community. So it makes our job hard. So we, as collective people, as a collective body of people, we can do something about it. We have the power to do something about it. So I'm going to pass the mic, and I want each one of you to tell us what you feel, and then we're going to close this up, and we're going to come back and do this again at a later time due to the storm coming in. And we're not going to give a dissertation. We just want to say, what do you think? And if you can record this, Maddie, one thing, what do you think we can do to have peace here in Dayton House? Just one thing. So, Maddie, get your pen ready. You want to write down what each person said.
Racism against black is an antiquated stereotype.
Okay, well, young man,
It is an antiquated stereotype.
I need for you to chill out. Okay, I'm very serious about it.
I'm on your side.
I understand, but I need you to chill out and be disrespectful to what we're doing here. All right? Maddie, do you have your pen?
In other words, we're bringing up those
I'll say self accountability.
I would possibly say better communications.
Better communication.
I think the understanding that each person, especially our young people, has value. And as we teach more and more of our young people, as well as our older individuals, that each of us has value and that we are part of the solution will help us get a long way.
Each person has value.
I would have to say respecting innovative mindsets and then be able to apply those responsibilities for it.
Innovative mindsets, respect. Innovative mindsets.
I say, if we could change our approach, then we could change the direction that we're going in.
Change approach.
Pray to God, read Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter.
Pray to God.
And read Deuteronomy.
Read Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter.
I say talk to each other and not at each other.
Amen.
See something, say something.
Honest policing.
I say create a spirit of self-determination.
I would say listen to hear, not to just respond.
Listen to hear, not to respond.
Meditation.
So I just want to say to all of you, thank you for your time today, and thank you for being respectful of one another's opinion, because we all have opinions. And thank you. You all have shown leadership today, and you all have shown and showed how people of different walks of life can come together as a group of people and get along with one another. And if we can do that, we can take that in these streets and do the same thing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first vice president to kind of wrap us up.
Thank you, President Ford, and we certainly want to thank each and every one of you who have participated in the roundtable, taking the time to share valuable information. This is not going to be lost, and this is not an isolated situation. I want to thank, first of all, everyone who contributed to this event coming together. Forgive me for not calling your names individually. For those of you who have been a part of the roundtable since September 2021, the committee, who, whatever you did, if you went to get hot dogs, hamburgers, President Ford, water, whatever you did to contribute, getting the vendors or what have you, Sister Kenya, you know, bringing other people to the round table, because this is what we do. We must have people at the table. Certainly want to thank our DJ and all of the event participants, performers, and what have you. And for now, we're going to close this out with a prayer by Reverend Rodney Cranford, who is the pastor of First Baptist Church, Ridgewood Heights. DJ, thank you for contributing pro bono.
Yes, Father, we come this afternoon, Lord God. First of all, thanking you for allowing us to come together, Lord God, to talk, Lord God, with peace on our minds, Lord God. But we know, Lord, that we can look to you, Lord God, because you are all of our help, Lord God. In the Christian Bible, it says, Lord God, look to the hills, which come up all of our help, because all of our help comes from you, Lord God, yourself. And Father, I ask, Lord God, that you would cause us, Lord God, as we have spoken here today, Lord God, to maintain integrity, Lord God, in the fact that we are all in this together, Lord God. And there is a shining light at the end of the tunnel, Lord God, if we would all just come together on one accord. Father, we bless your name and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray.
Pledge. Okay, we want to, this is our pledge. Please take this pledge with you in your circles of interaction and networking, your family. And if you'll just repeat after me if you're so inclined. As much as possible, that lie within me. I will live peaceably with all men.
And women. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.